Hello, friends and fellow board gamers. Welcome back to Board Games with Rob. I'm really excited today. I think I start all of my videos out that way because I'm really excited and passionate about board gaming, but I'm especially passionate about the game that I'm going to be talking about today. The game is going to be kickstarting fairly soon. I'm not receiving a penny to help endorse it. But I'm doing this because I'm passionate about the game and passionate about the publisher. The publisher is Lirius Games. They're out of Italy, and the game is Timeless Journeys. In fact, Timeless Journeys, the Italian Grand Tour. The game's designed by Nestore Mangone. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's a well-known publisher. He's done Darwin's Journey and Newton and a bunch of others. So if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I'm very sorry. As well as Andrea Robbiani. And it's a great game, and so I'm kind of giving away my thoughts about this. And before I do that, let me go to the table. Let me show you kind of a high level overview of how it plays, and then I'll come back here and give you my thoughts about the game. All right, so I've got the board laid out. Now I'll be doing a couple segments. I'll segue into player components and some other pieces of the game, but all of the meat of the game lays here in the map of Italy and the different cities that you'll be traversing. And each city, there's 8, has its own city board. And within each city board, you're going to have a number of tiles that you'll be picking up when you take certain actions, or you might be conversing with some people that are there, or as you're traversing in other cities, you'll be writing back to those people that you met in that city and sending them letters to activate different abilities. Or maybe there's a famous person in that city, like maybe Albert Einstein, or who is this? This is Lord Byron. The game comes with a variety of important people, and you'll be playing with 3 of them. And who is this? This is Mary Shelley. And so they will, at the beginning of the game, start in 3 cities, and over the course of the game, they will progress and move through the different cities that you, in fact, will be traveling to as well. So everybody will have a player pawn that starts up here and some player pawns to track victory points along the board, because at the end of the day, this is a victory point game. And the game is all about, well, there's some set collection. It's action card playing, engine building. I know this mechanic exists, and I can't for the life of me know the name of it, but everybody's going to be starting off with 7 cards, and you'll be playing 5 of them over the course of a round. Now, over the course of the game, one of the things that you'll be doing is upgrading your cards, which will give you better actions to do. And at the end of every round, you'll discard down to 8. You start with 7. And as you notice, they are of various different colors. And that's going to come into, that'll become important here as you build your engine. And so, and I know that the 3 different colors represent a theme. Everything's thematic and has a purpose in this game. The game is played over 5 rounds, and I'll be coming back to this board here in a little bit. And over those 5 rounds, you will have 5 turns within a round where you will be playing. Everybody will take turns, and you'll start by playing a card. And then when it comes around to you again, you'll play another card, up to 5 cards. Now you start off with 7, and all of the 7 cards have a basic action that you'll be performing out here on the board. And what's unique about the game is the colors are important, because if you can combo cards in succession, then you will be able to perform both actions again. So in other words, this is a move action. And I'm going to explain all these cards here in a second. But let's say I moved on my first turn, and then I play this yellow card the second turn. These colors match. So on my second turn, I'll be able to perform both actions, another move and a sightseeing of a city. Again, if I was to play on my third turn this action, then I could do 2 moves and an explore the city action all in that third turn. Whereas if I was to now reset and start with another action, in case this purple or pinkish card, then all I could do is this one action. And so What are the different actions of the cards? Let's get through that. Through the magic of video editing, I've added some resources here so that, because these will come into play during the game, and these represent different aspects or ideas that you'll be sharing with different people along your timeless journeys. So we've got art, we've got philosophy, this is history, and then science. Those are the four different resources. You've also got some money, but the four different resources that you'll be discussing and talking with people throughout your journeys through Italy. So let's talk about the different cards, the basic actions, and then I'll allow you to explore, show some of the advanced cards, but I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a lot, and they're really fun combos that you can build on them. But this is simply a move, and so all you would do is just move to a connected city, move your pawn to one connected city. Some of the cities will require you to pay to traverse there, one or two money. Now we've got the exploration card, and exploring, you're going to do one of two different things in a city. You will explore one of the tiles in that city, and you have to be located at one of the major cities, one of the 8 cities. You have to have your token there, and then once it's there, for example, I'm here in Bologna, and I could take one of the tiles that will be there, and there will be a number of tiles equal to the number of players there. And then each of these tiles is going to give you a one-time benefit that you could spend, in this case, a money and a move. And then also, and we'll get into this, you're going to have your notebooks. And I should say this is a pre-production copy of the game. I've seen some video where these journals, and I don't know if it's going to be the base game or a possible upgrade or maybe an unlock of the Kickstarter, but these things will fold and be like true journals. But the artwork is just fantastic, and they're double layered. You will be collecting these, and part of your set collection is you'll have one of these. Each player will get 2 of these, and as you can see, there's a particular city that you're going to be trying to collect and journal your experience in that particular city and putting it there. So yes, you're going to, and as well as you're going to want to collect all of these because there's a certain amount of victory points that you can get if you collect all of them. But the other thing you can do with an exploration token, and each city will show this down here, each city allows you to take the tile, or every city has a different bonus that you can get in that city with the explore action. For example, getting a science token or a philosophy token, maybe getting a victory point, or it's primarily a mixture of getting tokens or doing some special stuff. But the main thing that you're going to want to do is collect those tiles and keep them for those one-time benefits. All right, now this card is probably one of the most difficult to get your head around, but once you understand the mechanics, it's not really that hard. It's having a conversation. And I say it's difficult because there's a lot you can do with this card, just this one token alone. So let's say that you're in a city. Having a conversation, you can talk with, and you know what, I'm going to make this a little interesting. I'm in Bologna. Notice that Lord Byron is in Bologna. And let's just move one of these tokens. These people tokens are random, and you're going to pull a number of them based upon the amount of people playing the game. And each one has a specific use or spot on the board. But I want to set this up specifically. So let's say that I do this converse token. What you can do is converse with either one of 2 people in that city. Let's say you're going into a cafe and you find some people there, you want to talk to them. And each one of them will allow you to do a particular action. And these tiles are random as well. And there's a number of them, which is going to add to the replayability of the game. So if you were to pick this person here, you would get a philosophy token. If you were to pick this person, you would write in your journal. This is the icon for writing in journal, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So you will pick one of the 2 icons there, and then simply this is where you have a couple different choices. If there are no people there, or if there's no cardboard there for them, then your only other action is to write them, put a letter there if there is a spot for that letter. What you're doing by putting that letter there, you're asking them for their address so that you can write them. Think of it that way. You're establishing a communicate with that particular person. And that's going to be important because that's an actual action that you can do outside the city. If you're in another city, and I will show you this card, and you take a letter action, then you can take the action above any of your letters in any of your different cities. It's a great way to expand the amount of actions that you have outside of cities. And it is a first come, first serve getting your envelope there. However, if there's a person there as well, then you have a choice. You either take the person or put an envelope there. If you take the person, then that's going to allow you to later write about your conversation with that person in your journal. Each journal that you'll get, and you'll have two, will have one spot for a person to put in there. So these are going to be fought after to get. And that's a kind of an important decision as to, do you want the letter communication or do you want that person there? The last thing you can do with the communication action is if there is a person inside, a famous person like there is here, Lord Byron, inside of the city in Bologna here, then you can take one of your tokens and place it on La Gazette. Communicating with famous people is going to be a very important part of the game. This Gazette, which also is the round tracker, you can track your 5 rounds here, but it's going to dictate the 3 people. You'll pick 3 people from this. There's a whole deck of different people you can pick from. You'll have your 3 people here, and it'll show you round after round their starting city and where they move to. But when you converse to a particular person, you will take one of your experience tokens and place it, if there's a spot there, this is going to be a sought after action, next to the person that you communicate with. And then there's so much variability to this game. A lot of each one of these different tokens is going to give you some sort of reward or end game reward. And what you're going to be doing is vying. You've got an area majority here that you're vying for. Each person, you're trying to get the majority of experience tokens there, and then you'll receive a number of victory points depending upon who has the most. Everything from being able to, if you have this token, notice when you place an experience token, you're going to get one of 3 different things. You're either going to be able to do anything from placing a coffee cup, which is huge, getting a one of the idea tokens, or do a move action. However, if you were to place this particular experience token, say on here, then at the end of every round, you can spend one of your victory points to be able to take whatever this action is here. So you might want to maybe use this token if you're conversing with this famous person, because you want to be able to do a move action at the end of your turn. And anything from being able to have this token count as 2, and notice this is the dueling one, but once and what I mean by 2 is in the area majority, this one will count as 2, but when you place that, shoot, nobody likes to be challenged to a duel, so you can't place any more experience tokens into that person. Or you might be able to, for example, with the wine tokens, be able to get the reward twice. So it's just, there's so much variability in this, and just look at the amount of cards that you've got. But that's conversing with people is going to be important. All right, so here's the other symbol that I've already kind of talked about. That's the letter. So let's say that I am outside of a particular city. I can play that card or that symbol to then, let's say I'm red and I'm outside of Bologna, then I could take a journaling action, which we'll talk about next. So, and that's any of the envelopes that I have spread throughout Italy. I can pick one of them and take that action. The last of the basic action cards is this one. It's the purple one, which would allow me to combo there. And this is doing one of 2 things, journaling. Now, as I get these idea tokens, and as I collect these people, and as I collect these cities, I'm going to have all these tokens here. You're going to want to write about all those fun experiences you're having inside of your journal. And so getting and taking that action, you will get to place one of these inside your journal. And as you can probably guess, you're going to get victory points based upon the amount of these things that you have filled out at the end of the game. And trust me, that's one of the biggest ways to get victory points, is by getting a lot of these out there or filled out. The last symbol on here is this coffee cup, and as you can see, there's coffee cups in here, and that's where you will then have spend one of these and these tokens, and you will claim endgame victory points. And each city is a little different, and it gets harder the further south you get down throughout Italy. Now, at the end of playing 5 cards, there will be a market phase, and that's where you're going to be able to purchase cards from the market. Now, the cards that you can buy from the market, which again I'll bring out here in just a second, will be dependent upon you either having 2 different color cards for a level 1 card, three different colors for a level 2 card, or 4 different colors for a level 3 card. So right here, I'd be able to purchase a level 3 card. Now, how do you get 4 colors when this is all I've got right off the bat? Well, there is a 4th color in the deck, which we'll get to, a white card, or there's another action that you can do, and everybody has a little token here that explains that action. You can play a card face down, and if you do that, you can do one of 3 different things. You can get 2 coins, you can do a movement action, or you can purchase a card for its card cost from the market. So let me get the market board out here and show you what it looks like. All right, so I've got the market set up, and let's say these were the cards that I played. Just again, the recap, I would have played 3 different colors. So as you can see up here, that would allow me to buy from this row, the level 2 row, or anything above. If I had played 4 different colors, then I could purchase from the 3rd row and up. And of course, level 3 cards are going to be better cards than 2, which will be better cards than level 1. So again, if I was to have played a card face down, that counts as its own color. So in this case, I would have played 4 colors. During the market phase, I would have been able to get from level 3. So you'll have a number of these cards showing depending upon the number of players there are. Playing a card face down would allow you to actually buy a card. The top cards are free. The middle cards are 2 coins, and the bottom will cost you 5. And as you can see, look at this deck. I mean, this is just the level 3 cards, and look at how many there are. And the level 2 and the layer 1, there's so much here to choose from. And these cards are what I like to call combo-tastic. So for example, look at this. Playing this card, I would be able to do 2 letter actions. They'd have to be 2 different ones, or 2 communication actions. So that would allow me to say there's a famous person in a city. I could talk to a famous person and put a letter there to establish communication. This would allow me to do 2 movement just on 1 card. That's fantastic. Or maybe I want to do 2 explore actions in the city. Maybe I want to grab that token and then do whatever the respective city has as their exploration token. Even some of these 1 level cards are really good. Money's hard to come by. This one would give you a movement and give you a coin. And notice this is a white color card. This is the 4th color card that you'll be seeing appear in the market. So I'm not going to go through all of these cards, but just know that there is a lot of different opportunities that you have here. All right, folks, that's Timeless Journeys. And again, I'm going to preface this by saying this is a prototype copy of the game, although it's a well-produced prototype copy of the game, I have to say. And I'm going to also add that I've been hyping this game up, but I'm in no way, shape, or form receiving a red cent from this company, and I'm not being paid by any means for this. This was simply a luck chance that I got to play this game during Gen Con with a very good friend of mine, Father Kent, and it was one of our biggest highlights from Gen Con. I was really shocked, and I have to admit, I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about the first Kickstarter run. So the first thing is I hadn't played a lot of Nestore's games, and so I didn't even think and notice who the publisher was on this game when it came around. I simply looked at the artwork, and this was coming off of Age of Comics, which was very nicely produced. There was a lot of really nice artwork in that game. The components were fantastic. And when I looked at Timeless Journeys, I wasn't drawn to the game. It had very bland artwork. It was very mundane, and I didn't feel drawn into it any further than that. So there wasn't a big desire to learn more about the game, and I kind of let it pass. Then I played it, and I made a point of reserving a time at Gen Con to play the game, and boy, howdy. Forget, um, It was really good. I am just to let you know a little bit about myself. I'm a heavy Euro gamer. I really and I've discovered that of myself here recently through playing over the past couple of years. I've been in the board game industry for over a dozen years, but mainly with my help with the Dice Tower and in making inserts. My insert company, inserthere.me. I wasn't doing a lot of playing, and it's only been in the last year and a half, 2 years that I've been doing a lot of playing, both with my family and friends. And I'm a heavy Euro gamer, and this game is, I would say, this is a mid-weight game. And if I look it up real quick, so I believe Board Game Geek rates things from a 1 to a 5, and there's not a weighting up there right now, but I would say this is probably a 2.6, 2.7. It's more than a medium, but it's nowhere near a heavy Euro, and like it's nowhere near Darwin's Journey, but it's not your typical medium. There's a lot going on here, from planning out your moves and I mean, this is all about building the best engine that you can and preparing for that. And you're going to wind up throwing away cards that you're like, oh, why'd I throw that away? And wanting to be able to combo those actions, but then again, trying to get more actions on a card, right? By buying those better cards in the market. This is going to be about optimizing your visits inside of cities to be able to maybe communicate, putting those envelopes there so that you can get certain resources, and having forethought to look at what's coming down, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to be traversing from the top down to the southern part of Italy. And so being able to look ahead and see what kind of resources you're going to be needing to have those conversations, those coffee cup or teacup conversations inside of those cafes, and knowing what those resources are, and being able to plan for that. And it's just, there's a lot to think about and plan for, yet the mechanics are pretty simple. You've got a number of different icons to pick from, and just making the best engine out of that is going to be great. The artwork has been completely revamped and is so much better than the original when they went to Kickstarter the first time. They spent a lot of time and effort, I think, in the artwork, and the components look a lot better. I don't remember everything about the first version that came out, but this one's got dual A boards. It's got so much to it. You've got a bunch of the different famous people, and I can't even. I, I didn't even talk about the famous people cards. They each, all the famous people have different abilities that trigger at the end of the round. And I didn't talk about that. Shame on me. So, for example, one of them allows you to pay a number of coin and you can transport to his city, whereas another one will reward you if you're in their city at the end of the round, and the person who's furthest away from them will lose a number of points. Now, there's not a lot of that take thatty type, lose points type thing in the game, but there's enough variety in there to have a ton of different choices between those famous people. Even the Gazette, there's a couple different Gazettes in there which offer different cities that these people will be traversing throughout the city. There's a number of the different people, the normal people, those cardboard tokens that will randomly come out in different cities. The player boards, there's enough out there. I typically don't rate pre-production copies of games. This one, I'm changing my mind on that, and I'm rating this a 9. In fact, I think this could be my first 10 on my channel, but I don't have a production copy of the game. And there's some things that I think are going to be improved upon, and I'm leaving room for that improvement, I think, in the game. Like, for example, the dual layer boards and the chits don't fit perfectly in there. That of course will be fixed with the production copy of the game. They already know about that, but I don't have that copy. I've seen where the journals are going to be open and shut, and be able to be closed. That's amazing. I mean, that would push my rating even higher. But from a gameplay perspective, this is a fantastic Euro game. It doesn't take a whole heck of a long time to play. It's very easy to learn, and you have fun playing it. those engines and playing those cards. There's something really cool when you get those cards to combo off the way you want, being able to do all these different things across the board. I didn't realize that at first. So this is definitely one to keep a watch on. It's definitely one to support if you're thinking about getting it. I would highly recommend Timeless Journeys. So, folks, that's my overview of Timeless Journeys from Lirius Games. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you have a wonderful time gaming with lots of friends and making timeless journeys and memories of your own. But more importantly, be kind to one another. Bye bye now.